Alright, so in the talk of fighting games, there's always been one thing that's never sat right with me, and that's the fact that when it comes to the most sold fighting game of all time, it's Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Apparently. But the reason why I've always felt kind of weird about saying that is because when I think of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I don't really feel like it was ever sold to me or sold to anyone else as a fighting game, if that makes sense. But yeah, so let's talk about it, shall we? As a gaming channel that mainly focuses on fighting games, this is just something that was on my mind and I thought it would be pretty fun. Smash definitely has a special place in my heart despite how much I despise the community. I will always love and cherish Super Smash Bros. As a game, as a series. Like, it's just that game at times. And even though it's never really been my personal favorite fighting game, you know, I've still always had a love and appreciation for it. Now, if you want to say Smash is or isn't a fighting game, I feel like that's totally debatable. I've never really considered it a fighting game myself, but I don't think it's really definitively a yes or no when it comes to is Smash a fighting game. I feel like now I just say it's debatable because it really is debatable, you know? But when it comes to the sales, right, and the numbers, the results, you know, everyone says, oh, Smash is the #1 most sold fighting game of all time. And like, yeah, you could say that's true because the numbers don't lie, the results are there. But when I think of, you know, Nintendo selling Smash as a game, I don't really get the sense that they've been marketing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as a fighting game per se. I don't think Nintendo has ever really sold Super Smash Bros. As a fighting game. I feel like when I think of Smash, I think of it as, you know, a Nintendo game, a party game, a game that you can play with friends. And obviously, yes, the point of the game is to beat your opponents, is to fight them and knock them off the stage, whatever. I get that, but I feel like when I think of a fighting game like Street Fighter or Tekken, the competitive aspect, you know, the tournament aspect, where the game is sort of meant to be balanced and like you pick whatever character you want and each character should have an equal chance of being able to win, and Capcom and Bandai Namco sponsoring their own tournaments, holding their own world tours to see, you know, who IRL can come out on top. I just don't get that sense of Nintendo with Smash Brothers at all. I feel like when you see Smash commercials, you see people playing like in groups of 4, you know, and that's already right there kind of a sign that this is not being marketed to you as a competitive fighting game. And to me, that's just how it's always been. That's how I've always seen Smash. I've always seen it as like that game that's at the parties, you know? It's the game that everyone can play, and I love it for that. I really do. I also do love the competitive aspect and the competitive scene for Smash. Like, that's cool. I mean, I have my problems with the community online and you know, the things that have happened, but I love that there is a competitive scene for Smash, right? But at the same time, you gotta admit that the competitive scene is kind of its own thing. Like, it's run by its own community, by its own rules, nothing really to do with Nintendo. And the fact that they themselves can decide, hey, let's ban this character, let's ban these stages, that should tell you that the game itself was not meant to be competitive, or was not meant to be balanced, or was not meant to be sold as a fighting game. Again, I think it's debatable. I'm not trying to say that it is or isn't a fighting game, but I just feel like when it comes to the sales and the game being marketed as such, I think it's a little more apparent that Smash isn't really marketed as a true competitive fighting game. So when I like to think of which fighting game has sold the most of all time, I feel like it's just weird to say Smash because I kind of don't see it as being sold as a fighting game, you know? And it's kind of funny to think about because I feel like when it comes to other fighting games like Street Fighter and Tekken trying to sell their games, I feel like it's literally the opposite of Smash. Like, they're trying to sell their fighting games, you know, showing commercials of like people doing these crazy cool combos and like, you know, everybody's sweating really hard and being really competitive. And then the developers are trying to find a way to be like, wait a minute guys, if you're casual, you could still play this game too. Like, they're trying to make it seem like the game can actually be fun to other people that don't want to compete. Whereas with Smash, it's like the complete opposite. They're selling the game as like, hey, this is a casual fun game, and then on the side there's people that are like, wait guys, we can make this game competitive too, you know? So I think it's kind of funny looking at Smash and like other fighting games and like how it's almost like an opposite or reverse kind of thing. But in that sense, it feels like Smash got it right because, you know, again, they've got the numbers to show. But that's also why I have an issue with it being regarded as the most sold fighting game. But yeah, I just think it's funny to think about, and I don't know, I thought it could be a really fun discussion video on this channel. So yeah, I'm really curious, what do you guys think? Is Smash worthy of still having that title as the most sold fighting game of all time? Or if Smash wasn't in that discussion, then what would be the game that's the most sold fighting game of all time? Because I also feel like when it comes to fighting games and the biggest scene in the fighting game community, Street Fighter has always been that game. It's always been that game with the biggest scene in the FGC. You know what I mean? Just the fact of all the players based around the world playing Street Fighter and trying to compete. I feel like Street Fighter just always had an insane amount of players, an insane amount of competition. And especially we see from Street Fighter 6 breaking EVO records with like over 7,000 entrants. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So to me, Street Fighter has always been that game. It's always been that game with the biggest community in the FGC. So that's kind of why it like feels weird when you say, oh, but Smash Ultimate is the most sold fighting game. But yeah, again, not trying to start any wars, not trying to say Smash doesn't deserve it. I'm just trying to start a discussion because I haven't really done one of these videos in a long time. So I'm really curious what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please leave a like on the video and subscribe for more fighting game content. But yeah, with that being said, I'll catch y'all in the next video.